Our guest today is Spirit Award-nominated producer Natalie Metzger. Now, she has had films premiered at top festivals around the world, including Sundance, Cannes, South by Southwest, and Tribeca. Now, her feature credits include Werewolves Within, Thunder Road, Greener Grass, Sony Pictures Classics documentary It Ain't Over, just to name a few, and she's also known for producing numerous shorts, most notably POOF, Dress a Cow, and The Robbery. Now, Natalie is currently the Vice President of Production and Development at Vanishing. But we are here today to talk about the award-winning short film Shadow Brothers Sunday, directed by Alden Ehrenreich and executive produced by Francis Ford Coppola, a story of betrayal, selfishness, family, facing the truth, and jealousy. The Shadow Brothers Sunday received a special jury award for excellence in filmmaking from Salute Your Shorts Film Festival, and this live-action short film has qualified to be considered for a 2024 Academy Award. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome award-winning filmmaker and producer Natalie Metzger to the show. Welcome, Natalie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. You have such an incredible film resume. What inspired you to get into filmmaking?
I actually stumbled into filmmaking. I have a background in theater and dance. I have a master's in choreography, believe it or not. And it was when I was in grad school that I started wanting to have people see my work beyond just those that were in a 20-mile radius of any given theater. And so I started filming my choreography, started sending those off to festivals. They started to do well, get some awards, some attention. And so I kind of continued to do that. And I started helping my film school friends out with their films. And I just started filling in the gaps. You know, I would say, oh, you need a costume designer? I know a great one. Oh, you need a location? Oh, I can call these different places. And not realizing that I was starting to produce. And that just kind of snowballed. And my friends started recommending me to their friends. And pretty soon I started getting job offers of like, hey, we can pay you this amount to produce our film. And I ended up just falling in love with film and started doing it full time.
Well, you said theater. Did you start off in New York?
No, so I did my undergrad at Emory in Atlanta, and then I did grad school at Cal Arts.
Ah, well, I was born in Atlanta, so that's a good thing. So,
Oh, awesome. I love that city. It's
oh my
amazing.
goodness. Well, it's amazing how people just fall into film. So I guess as people were coming to you, they're like, "Oh, go to Natalie. She knows everybody."
Yeah, I was a little bit like that.
Well, you are the producer of the award-winning live-action short Shadow Brothers Sunday. How did you get involved with this project?
Yeah, so it was actually a friend from Emory, a director friend who put me in touch with Alden. They knew each other from the New York theater scene, and she was like, "Oh, if you need a producer for your short, you should talk to Natalie." And so Alden and I met. We met before the pandemic. It was either late 2019 or early 2020, and I read his script and just it made me bawl. I like sobbed for a while afterwards, and just found it to be so moving and was so impressive. And then when I talked to him about his approach, I was like, I need to work on this film. He wanted to shoot on celluloid, shoot on 35 millimeter. He wanted to have like extensive rehearsals with the actors. He wanted to gain 20 pounds for the role. I thought it was just really intriguing how he wanted to do it. And so I hopped on, and it took us a while to get it together because of the pandemic. Obviously, Alden really wanted to rehearse with all the cast as if they were a family. So cooking together, hanging out together, and that was hard to do in the early stages of the pandemic. And so we waited until it was safe for us to do the film we wanted to do, and then we shot it.
What I love about how would you describe Alden? Would you say he's more of a director, more of a writer, more of an actor?
Well, so when I met him, I knew him as an actor and was like so impressed with his body of work, and he has such an incredible range. But when I read his script, I was like, oh, you're like a really talented writer. And then as we started in pre-production, his talents as a director really started to shine through, where he had such a specific vision that he wanted, and the way that he collaborated with, all of our team, the cinematographer, the costume designer, the production designer, everyone. He's such a wonderful collaborator, and so generous and so thoughtful, and it was really cool. So now I don't know, like I think he kind of is really brilliant at all three things. He's like a true triple threat of the writer, director, and actor. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. On set, he would be showing everyone, where to stand, where to go. Okay, we're going to do it this way. We're going to shoot it this way. And then he would, step in and say action. And then he would just start tearing up and have this like super emotional performance after just like being, pure director. So it was just really amazing to watch.
Well, that even makes the film that much more incredible. How much of a hand did Francis Ford Coppola have in the making of Shadow Brother Sunday? I mean, did he give Alden any directing advice?
Well, so Mr. Coppola has been kind of mentoring Alden since Alden was in his movie Tetro back when he was 18 years old. So he's kind of been mentoring him as an actor and just generally as a filmmaker. But yeah, Alden has learned a ton from him, and he sent him the cut before we locked picture to get his thoughts and everything. But yeah, they've kind of had a mentorship relationship for a while now.
It's interesting because when I watched the film, I actually watched it probably at least 3 times. And as I was sitting there, my daughter, she's this big Francis Ford Coppola fan. And I told her, I said, as I was watching the film, if I didn't know Alden had directed it, I would have thought Francis would have directed it, because it has this Coppola flavor to it. The way that it's filmed. And I don't know, is it, for me, it's almost like the 35 millimeter had a play into that feel. Because I kept looking at this film, I'm like, okay, this is really a modern day story, but there's that look. It's that true film look, not the digital stuff. It is true film. You've got this slight cast of color that comes only from film, and I'm thinking, man, if Francis wasn't sitting on the set, you would have never known it. I mean, because I can see where Alden learned a lot from him, because it just has that vibe about the film.
Well, that will just put Alden over the moon to hear you say that, because that he's obviously such a source of inspiration for all of us, but obviously especially for Alden. And his whole approach to the rehearsal process was kind of inspired by the rehearsal process that he did with Coppola for Tetro. And so I think that like really just kind of inspired him of how to really get authentic performances, how to really create very extensive backstories, so that there was already an established relationship between all the actors before action is called.
Well, all right, for everyone watching and listening, what is this short film about?
Oh my gosh, it's multi-layered. It's about lots of different things, but I would say it's about family. It's about sibling rivalry. It's about those misconnections that we have, where we want to reach out to someone that we love or care about, but we don't, because we assume that they don't want us to reach out, and really they're feeling the same way. And it's those misconnections that oftentimes happen in family. But it's also about fame and celebrity, and how success affects an entire family dynamic. Yeah, I don't know. It's about, it's about
Well,
so many
it's
things.
funny because when I read the byline, I was like, okay, which makes it a very, very modern story. And because Alden himself is a celebrity, he's got one heck of a resume. Um, is this based on a particular true story by chance?
It's not based on any like one event that happened to Alden, but it's more of a amalgamation of lots of different experiences that he had, both when he found a bunch of success, and then watched his dynamics with people around him change, and also when he was around other people that had success, when he wasn't feeling like he was as successful, and the jealousy that he felt there. And so it's kind of inspired by a lot of different things that he's had in his past, but not one specific event or anything like that. He has a very good relationship with his brothers.
Well, being that this is a modern day story, it's very common that we hear about those working with celebrities selling their private information. Now, the general public, they never care about how private info is leaked on celebrities. They just want to know the juicy details. Where have we gone wrong as a society?
Oh wow, that is a that is a very good question and very involved. Yeah, I don't know. Like there is a kind of this obsession with seeing like exploring the private lives of celebrities who I feel like for a lot of people, if they see someone so regularly on their TV or their laptop or in the movies, they almost become to them like a friend, and so you like assume that you have kind of a right to their private information because they're your friend, but in reality they're a celebrity, they don't know who you are, and so I think there's this weird power dynamic there. And I think the public enjoys kind of holding a little bit of power in knowing something about a celebrity that maybe they didn't want people to know. But yeah, I don't know. It's very complicated.
Well, it's funny because, I remember the day where celebrities, there was a mystique, there was a mystery, there was no social media. If you wanted to read about a celebrity, you had to go buy a magazine or a newspaper or the National Enquirer off the newsstand just to find out if, what the story was. Of course, nobody ever knew if anything was ever true or not. But now everybody is in front of our face 24 hours a day. And to me, that mystique and that mystery is really no longer there unless the celebrity themselves choose not to be on social media, which was really funny, Natalie, because I saw a recent interview with Alden and he goes, I don't do social media, and he has a flip phone. And I'm thinking, that's because you can protect your private info with a flip phone.
Yeah. We finally convinced him to get an Instagram account so that we could help promote the film and promote his his work, because he's also not just a filmmaker, he's also a visual artist. He actually painted the poster for the film. He hand painted that. He also has a creative space in LA called the Huron Substation that they're going to be doing plays and theater readings and all sorts of things there. So he's a multi-talented person, but yeah, we finally convinced him to get an Instagram account so that he could be promoting all these wonderful things he's working on.
Wow. Well, let's get into the film because it's a brilliant piece of work. So the older brother, Cole, which is played by Alden Ehrenreich, he's jealous of his brother's success, but he's also dealing with his parents' disappointment in him as well as his own disappointments in life. What would be the major theme here? Does the major theme go beyond betrayal and jealousy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like something I really love about the film is I've talked to people who have seen it multiple times, and who they're aligning with, and who they feel like is the person making the mistake, or or doing like the bad deed, changes each time they watch it. And so I think that's kind of like the fun thing, is that both brothers have their things that they're struggling with, and things that they're maybe not doing quite right. And I think you can sympathize with both, or either or, depending on like what your own personal experiences are, or where you're at when you're watching it. But yeah, I think I mean, everyone's kind of familiar with sibling rivalry, but this just takes it up to another level.
Well, to me, the most powerful scene in the film is when the actor brother is in the kitchen talking with his mother. They had just had the family photo taken outside. They're coming in, and of course there was the little episode with the character of Cole played by Alden, but the musician brothers in the kitchen. And I had to replay that scene because a lot of people will view that scene just on the surface, let it go. Oh yeah, and not really think about the true dynamic of that scene. Many people will view that scene as the actor brother saying how big a loser his musician brother is, but in reality, his brother is really voicing his care for Cole. It's just the way that it comes out.
Yeah.
People say things that sound mean, but really it's their way to communicate their frustration or their love for another, as strange as it sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And in many ways, he's defending his brother in that moment. He's defending his brother to his mom. But yeah, the language he uses makes him, come across that he's tearing him down. But of course, he doesn't know that his brother's listening. And so it's all complicated.
Well, and that's what I love about this short film. There is it's complex, but it's simple, but you really have to pay attention to really understand each character. And I thought Alden did a brilliant job where it's almost like, it's like watching a Netflix series. It's like the first episode is always character development, for the audience to understand who everybody is. But the development in this short film was fast. Well, it was fast and furious, but you knew who everybody was. You knew where everybody stood, but then it's the relationship between the two brothers. And all I know is I'm waiting for a full feature film on this.
Yeah, I Alden has a couple different features that he's in the process of writing, and I am so excited for him to expand this world. He has a couple different ideas, kind of set in a similar environment, and yeah, I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah, I don't want to give away the ending because the ending is very, very profound. I actually played it back a few times just to really to watch the acting, because it is still, I mean, like what you just said about Alden, he's directing and then the moment he says action, he can just well up in tears. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean,
Yeah,
how many
very
people can do that?
not a lot. And I work with a lot of director, writer, actors, and like Alden is just so impressive in that way, and you can just see, and obviously just from the films that he's been involved with that have released this year, he does everything from comedy to intense drama to intense thriller, and it's really incredible to see. To see it up close on set, just to see how easily he can just slide into something.
Well, when was this? When was Shadow Brothers Sunday finished? Because I know that Alden actually starred in Oppenheimer.
Yes, yeah. So we filmed in July, and then we were in post for a while because during that process of post production, he flew to Atlanta to shoot the new Marvel series that he's going to be in, and he was also doing different press for different things, obviously before the strike, and then when the strike that all paused, but yeah, he's been juggling a lot this year.
Well, my goodness, not only being mentored a bit by Francis Ford Coppola, he got to see Christopher Nolan up close and personal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he truly has worked with some of the greatest filmmakers of our age.
Well, what about you as a producer? I mean, who has become your mentors in the film industry?
Oh wow, that's such a good question. Um, I don't know if there's any like one particular person that's a mentor, but I definitely find so many different people inspiring, and to me, like I get most inspired by the directors. Watching the different filmmakers work and bring their like such strong, bold, unique visions and styles that that's what really inspires me, is to watch these different directors and to see how best I can help facilitate them make their babies.
Well, behind the scenes, for a lot of people that don't understand filmmaking, so you have a director on set. As a producer, what are you doing as he's directing?
That's a great question. So, especially with an actor who's also directing, I'm definitely at the monitor, watching the takes, like helping give feedback to, because when the actor is inside of the scene, like sometimes it's hard to be like, okay, what was the best take, or do we feel like we have it? And Alden had a really, really good sense of when he had it, but yeah, I become a creative sounding board where, to like bounce ideas off of, and to say like, hey, I really think you have it in this take. Do we want to move on to the next take? Or like, hey, you might want to do that one again. There was something funky that happened in the background there. So yeah, I'm there as a creative sounding board. I'm also there as like the business and logistics person. So putting out any fires as different issues come up, making sure, all the, crew is handled, all the contracts and agreements are all taken care of. When we ran out of film because our camera kept jamming and we had to redo a ton of takes, it was like trying to source celluloid at the last minute when everyone was sold out, and those types of things.
Well, okay, you bring up something a lot of people don't think about. So you're dealing with actual film. How many people today are actually using real 35 millimeter film to make a movie?
It's much more rare these days, but it's extremely rare for a short film. It's almost unheard of for a short to shoot on 35. But it was something that was really important to Alden from like our very first conversation. He was like, this has to be shot on celluloid. It like needs to have that kind of natural, organic feel to like to also kind of continue that feeling that he wanted to have from the family, that everything felt organic and natural and like part of this ecosystem. And so yeah, so from the very beginning it was like we're shooting on film and we got to figure out how to do that. And it was actually at a time, so film's having a little bit of a renaissance where everyone switched to digital, and now there's a lot of people that are kind of missing that style and that look. And so at the time we reached out to Kodak, and they were like, we're actually sold out. We don't we don't have any stock. So we had to source it from a couple different places, because there is this film renaissance happening, which is pretty cool.
Well, it's like Quentin Tarantino. He loves shooting on actual film because there is just a look. So you were saying that this was filmed this July?
No, last July.
Okay, because I had someone recently who had actually filmed and edited their short film this year and got it into the festival, all across the festivals, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just and then yours is the first one that I've heard that's shot on 35 millimeter. I had an early one shot on 8 millimeter,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
which I mean, when you see 8 millimeter, that's shot on film.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this would probably be a dumb question for some people, but how many feet of film did this short film go through?
Oh my gosh, I don't remember. We probably went through 20 rolls. um it was we were planning on a certain number, and then there was just this one day that our camera kept jamming for like whatever reason. We actually had to bring a tech out, and so it kept on stopping in the middle of this super emotional scene. It was the scene with Cole and Jacob in the room, and so it's not the kind of scene that you can just like, oh, just pause there, hold where you are, let's just like go again right from that same place. You kind of have to build up into it. So we definitely used more film than we were planning on, just because of the camera jamming.
Oh my God. Yeah. The perils of filmmaking.
Yeah. there's
Well,
there's something.
Well, since you have done feature films and you've done numerous shorts, what is the major difference between the two in creating the storyboard?
It's funny. I get asked this a lot of like how to approach like a short versus a feature, and to me, it's more of a pacing thing than anything else. Like it's actually the amount of time it takes and all the things that you need to do to prep for a short film versus a feature. It's all about the same. It's just that when you're shooting, you have to approach it like a marathon instead of a sprint. Where like a short, you can kind of sprint through. Like okay, we're just gonna go like as fast as possible, and with a feature, you kind of have to just have a little bit more stamina, pace yourself, not burn yourself out in the first week. But yeah, in terms of storyboards or really anything in the kind of pre-production phase, they're not that different. And the original script was, I think it was like 26 pages, and so we went in like knowing that this was like on the longer end of shorts. Like the final film ended up being cut down to 15, but yeah, we like Alden had a lot of meat to work with as well, because he was approaching it like a feature, like a quarter of a feature.
Well, I know I've already asked this, but is there going to be any plans for an actual feature off of this short?
So not off of this specific story, but set in this same world is what he's working on right now.
The characters are amazing. I mean, this film has a star-studded cast, which you don't see a lot in short films. I mean, how did the cast come together?
Yeah, so Alden, like from the very beginning, he really loved Nick Robinson, and at first we didn't think that the schedule was going to work out, and then when we had to push because of the pandemic and other things, it ended up working out so that Nick was able to do it, and that was just so great. And their dynamic was awesome, and they met up so many times beforehand to really build out the story, like the backstory of these two characters. And Alden would do all these improv games with the whole cast, which was fun. And Lisa Ellenstein is so incredible, and she was just like on board from the very beginning, where she was like, "Yeah, I'll play your overbearing mom," and it was great. She was so wonderful to have on set, and the whole, like the whole cast was just so willing to dive into this like this world, and to do the rehearsal process with Alden, and to build out their backstories, which I think just added so much texture to the family.
There was a scene in the film where Cole and the father are in that room. And when the father looks at him and says, he's basically telling him, you better straighten up and fly right today, only concentrate on today, and you better make your mother happy, because if your mother's not happy, guess what? I'm not going to be happy, because I'm going to have to hear and be on the brunt of her wrath. And part of me wanted to laugh, because how many of us have actually been on Cole's end and received that message?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Nick seriously is so good in that role. His sternness, and how and his kind of cold cold approach to fathering, I think just really makes you feel for Cole so much in that scene, where it just feels like a bit of a gut punch.
Yeah, it does. And this short film is one of the few that I've actually seen where I would either want to see it as a feature film, or because of the story and because of the characters, I think it would make a great Netflix series, because I would literally binge watch this one.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Hopefully, as soon as Alden finishes writing, we're gonna start making the next one.
Well, what has been the audience's feedback on this film?
It's been really really awesome. We've played so many different festivals, and we've been winning awards at a lot of them, which has been so lovely, and we feel so honored to get that recognition. But the audiences in in our ideal screenings, like the ones that just gone perfectly, they're laughing throughout, but they're also having these you can see them go, oh, when things go wrong for Cole. And there's definitely some, like, you can hear people crying a little bit at the end. And so that's, I think, kind of like was what Alden was going for. He wanted to have these moments of levity, and he definitely kind of wrote it with these like kind of comedic things in place. But then he really wanted to touch people in an emotional way. And so and that's what we've been experiencing in the sitting in the audiences for these festival screenings, which has been really wonderful.
This is a story that has more than one cringe moment in it.
Yes.
And I don't want to give that away, because I hope that everyone has a chance to see Shadow Brothers Sunday. It's a spectacular story. It's a great film. So this film has been Oscar qualified. Is this your first Oscar qualified film?
It's not my first Oscar qualified film, but it's my first Oscar qualified short. So yeah, it's very exciting, and we were so excited to get Variety's nod, saying that we're their prediction for one of the shorts to be nominated. So that was just really exciting to see in print.
Oh, so there's already an Oscar buzz for well, I know that the next step is going to be the short list. So they're already thinking that this one may have what it takes to get a nomination.
We'll see. You never know with these things, but we were so excited that Variety listed us on their predictions list.
Well, yeah, because I thought last season was really tough. This season is probably the toughest group of films I'd have ever seen. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in December, and then when the nominations are announced in January. Tell us something about the production company Vanishing Angle, and anything new coming up.
Yeah, so we've been around for 13 years, and we've kind of made a little name for ourselves in the indie film world. And right now we have a feature documentary that Sony Classics put out. It's called It Ain't Over, and it's actually going to be released on Netflix tomorrow. So you can check it out there.
Wow. So what's that about?
It's about Yogi Berra, the Yankees baseball player, and it's just a wonderful, touching story about his life and how funny he is and how talented he was as a baseball player. A lot of people remember him for his yogiisms, but he actually was like one of the greatest baseball players as well. And you don't have to be a baseball fan to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the greatest major league catchers in baseball. And are you also producer on that film?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you something on Shadow Brothers Sunday. How many days did it take to actually film that?
We filmed 4 days.
With 1 day with the camera
yes.
backing up.
Yeah. On our most important performance heavy day was when our camera started jamming.
Wow. Natalie, I have to say, Shadow Brothers Sunday it's incredible. Out of all of the short films, the live action shorts that I've seen so far for this season, that one stands out because of its look. And I have to hand it to Alden for choosing to go the 35 millimeter route, because that's just epic filmmaking right there.
Yeah, that was all Alden.
Yeah, when I hear people say, "Oh yeah, we shot this with digital cameras," I'm like, explain that. Is that like iPhone, or did you use a real camera? So how many more festivals is there left to go to show the film?
We have about 10 more, I would say. We're kind of finishing out some of the domestic ones, starting to do some more international ones. So yeah, we keep every week we get like a reach out saying like, hey, can we consider the film for this festival? So we're just kind of seeing how far it goes.
Well, for the general public, a lot of short films are not really released to the public. Will the public be able to ever see Shadow Brothers Sunday?
Yes, we're hoping to find distribution for it. We're starting that process now, and so yes, hopefully next year it will be available.
Wow, fantastic. Natalie, I want to thank you so much for honoring us with your time and sharing this amazing film, Shadow Brother Sunday.
Thank you so much.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever have the opportunity to see this short film, Shadow Brother Sunday, it is Oscar qualified for a possible nomination of the 2024 Academy Awards. That's a pretty big deal when you're in film, but this is an incredible story, incredible filmmaking. It's one of the best that I've seen this season, and if you ever have the opportunity to see it, you've got to see this film because just like me, you'll be left with wanting more. When you see the last scene, you're going to go, and you're just going to say, I want more because I want more. So, Natalie, please tell Alden we need a feature film or a Netflix series on this one.
I will. I will.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching and listening to The Ward Bond Show, but also you can watch all of the replays on our YouTube channel at Bond on Cinema. Just look it up on YouTube, and we're on all digital platforms. If you don't have time to watch, you can listen. So I want to thank you for watching and also having Natalie Metzger share us the art of filmmaking in this beautiful short film, Shadow Brother Sunday. And as for me, I'll see you next time.